Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show is brought to you by DKI Canada. Across the street, across the country. He was as tough as they come over a 14-year NHL career. Kris King. Now he helps keep the game safe. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show. Coming up! Our guest today hails from Bracebridge, Ontario, actually Hornpayne, a left winger for the junior Peterborough Petes. He was picked by Washington in the '84 draft. He played 15 NHL seasons, 849 games for the Red Wings, Rangers, Jets, Coyotes, Maple Leafs, and Blackhawks. He is former captain of the Winnipeg Jets, winner of the NHL's King Clancy Award, founder of Kris King Hockey School, host of Full Contact Fishing, recently named to the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame, and a senior VP of hockey operations for the National Hockey League. Welcome to the program, Kris King. Kris, great to have you here.
Joe, it's a real honor to be on your show. I better do this to get this out of the way early, as you mentioned the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame. But
right, we're going to represent
certain things that you achieve, having the ability and the honor to play this great game of hockey, and quite a surprise when I was called and told I was going into the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame. It's quite a nice day.
Beautiful. I know we're going to get into that in a bit, but I played golf at the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame golf tournament. It was great. All the former guys were there. I actually played on a team with David Moreland IV.
Oh, is that right?
Who played on the PGA Tour. Surprisingly enough, we won the tournament. I know you'll be surprised.
There you go. You must be a stick too, Joe.
Yeah, well, I had a couple of putts, but Dave Moreland did most of the heavy lifting, that's for sure. So let's begin at the beginning, Kris. You were born in Bracebridge, but you grew up in a town much smaller. Tell us about Hornpayne.
Well, my dad was a CNR railroader, and at the time that my mom was to have me, the hospital was under construction. They were building a new one in our small town of 900 people. So she got on the train and came to Bracebridge, where her mom lived and where she grew up. And I was born in the Bracebridge Hospital. And 2 weeks later, I was back on that same train heading north. And so my hockey card says Bracebridge, Ontario, but my early beginnings were in a small town in northern Ontario called Hornpayne. One road in, one road out. Lots of great fishing, lots of long winters, and good outdoor ice. So that was the start of it. And then when Dad got transferred back to the Muskokas, I was 8 years old, and we ended up living in Gravenhurst, and that's where I played my minor hockey before I headed on to Peterborough, as you pointed out there earlier. So some northern roots, to say the least, Joe.
Yeah, and most of your growing up, really, I guess, was probably in the Gravenhurst area, and tell us about growing up there. You know, how was your home life, your life in general affected, and your hockey career by that area?
Well, Muskoka is really known for its summer traffic. I mean, our population, I would say quadruples, but it does way more than that. When the amount of summer cottage people that do spend, a good 2.5, 3 months here for good reason. There's lots of lakes, and as this summer has been, lots of great weather. And they have their summer places here, and they get in the car and try to travel as less 2 hours to get here. Sometimes it's longer if everybody's going the same direction at the same time. But two real small towns in this area, Bracebridge and Gravenhurst, are about 10 minutes apart. It was like the Leafs and the Canadians as far as lack of love, as you can say. And so you can just imagine a new kid to town in a town of 6,800 people moving to Gravenhurst to, his hockey card said he was born in Bracebridge. So they didn't know how to take me when I first arrived, but I could play the game a little bit. Growing up in Hornpayne, there was no ice time to rent. The doors were always open. Whenever you could get to the arena, you could skate, and every outdoor pond was frozen. So I love the game of hockey Daryl Sittler actually came to Hornpayne, a big outdoorsman, to fish and speak at our hockey banquet. And, we had 2 channels up there, CBC and CBC French, and we got real mad when they showed anybody but the Leafs on a Saturday night. So here I got to meet who I considered the best player in hockey, and Daryl Sittler. And I said right then, I want to play for the Leafs. And as it turned out, it happened for me. But Gravenhurst was a big part of it. Really, a lot of support in our town. Bracebridge had Roger Crozier. Was a big name there that actually went to school with my mom and dad as a youngster.
Wow.
So it's a nice area. It was Huntsville's right up the road, and Perry Sound. So we had a lot of good hockey players that I was able to play with. And but small town hockey, you got to be seen. And I was able and lucky enough to play junior C as a 15-year-old in our small town, and that was before all these Tier 2 junior A teams were playing. And junior C was kind of the Friday, Sunday league, and got scouted playing. It was funny. I was 15 years old. My centerman was 21, and he had just had a baby, and I couldn't drive, but I could score goals back then. So I was lucky enough to get seen by the Peterborough Petes scout and drafted 4th round of the Petes out of junior C here in Gravenhurst. And that was the beginning of it. Dick Todd was our coach in Peterborough, a great junior franchise. It gave me an opportunity to be seen. Lots of scouts came to Peterborough because it was close to Toronto, and we had good teams, and was able to get drafted in the NHL by Washington. And 15 years later, I kind of lived a dream. Played the game I love to play, and then retired for a little bit. Drove my wife crazy for months because I followed her around. I had nothing to do, and she found me another job with the NHL, and I've been here 25 years. So it's been a nice way to stay in the game.
Oh, your wife got you the job. That's cool. So anyway,
well, you know what? You're as a hockey player. I mean, well, most sports guys, you have a routine. You go to practice, and you do your thing, and you generally grab lunch with the guys, and then you go home. And if you're done in time, you can pick the kids up at school and come home. And a lot of that time, you're traveling on the road or going to games. But you're doing it for 15 years. When it's all done, it's like that void's there, and you don't know what to do with yourself. So I literally retired mid-December. I was playing in Chicago, and other than the fact I wasn't very good anymore at 35, my back was really bad, and I really had to call it quits mid-season with the Hawks. And I came home, and that routine was gone. I didn't know what to do. But I literally followed her around like a sad puppy saying, "What are you going to do?" She goes, "Well, I know what I got planned today. I'm going to play tennis, and I got to get groceries, and I got to go to the kids' school." I said, "I don't know what you're doing, but just get out of my way." So, luckily enough, I joked that she found me a job. But at the time, Colin Campbell, who still is my boss, was running hockey operations, and Mike Murphy, who had coached me in Toronto and was a neighbor in Aurora, was working for hockey operations in the Toronto office. They were looking for somebody fresh off the ice, and I fit the bill and started with them that next season. And the link there, we were all Roger Nielsen guys, from Rogers Hockey School, and Roger had coached us, and we'd worked hockey schools together. So Roger, God bless his soul, was a big part of my career. He had traded for me when he got the job in New York, and made me the player that I was, and kind of gave me this opportunity after. I really feel through Colin and Murph, and I've really enjoyed my last 25 years in the league office.
That's a pretty good run in the league office, 25 years. But we kind of skipped over a pretty impressive career rather quickly there. I want to go back and look at this right back to junior. Actually, I know in Gravenhurst, you had some great offensive numbers, which got you seen by the Petes, as you mentioned. And there you put up some decent offensive numbers as well. But it probably was your physical play that got you noticed. Dropping the gloves here in a game against the Toronto Marlboros way back when. Then did you realize that you were getting noticed at this time? You had 254 penalty minutes in 56 games.
Yeah, it's funny you say junior C because I think I had 90-some goals in our league there, and as I said, I was just a kid on the team, but we had a pretty good run. So I kind of got seen because of my numbers, and got a chance to boy, this is kind of cool. The old Cooperall pants too.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, you know what? I think what happened was, I mean, I was drafted as an offensive player, and somewhere, I don't know, we're around Beaverton on my way to Peterborough, I lost my hands and had to get noticed with Dick Todd in Peterborough. But we had a really good team at the time. David Reed, who people will know, and Dougie Evans and Scott Tottle, and they had a really good older team. And when I got there, I realized that the only way I was going to make that team was to play a little more physical. And I was growing at that time, and I had never really fought before because I was playing junior C at 15, and I had a bunch of older guys taking care of me. So I remember my first fight in one of our practice arenas. It was an exhibition game in Peterborough. I actually fought with my gloves on. I didn't even know to drop them. But somewhere along the line, I figured it out very quickly, and that became a bigger part of my game at the different levels. And then, of course, in the NHL, it got me noticed and used that. But, you know, I think the leadership skills that I learned from my days in Peterborough from Dick Todd and then again from the tutelage of Roger helped me, have a pretty good career in some of the cities that I got to play in. But you know what? I never shied away from it. I knew when it was needed and didn't have to be told. And as it turned out, there was way more fights than there was points on my scorecard, Joe, to tell you the truth.
Well, it's crazy, eh? So you're 15 years old. You're basically the Wayne Gretzky of that league, 90 goals. And
well, nobody's actually ever called me that, but I appreciate
it. But you go from the guy who's being protected to the guy who's doing the protecting, and it got you drafted by the Capitals, but didn't seem to get much of a shot there. How did you end up going to Detroit?
Well, at that time, when it was allowed, certain junior coaches, GMs worked for NHL teams. And actually Dick Todd, who was a fabulous junior coach and a great teacher, was working for the Caps at the time. And I'll throw a name out there. Jack Button, Craig Button's father, was kind of the head scout, which did a lot of the scouting in our Ontario league. It's funny, the year that I was drafted, there was 2 other of my teammates that went to the Caps as well. And the next year there was 4 Peterborough Petes. So there was 7, maybe even 8 in 2 years that the Caps took. But at that time, Scott Stevens was just getting started in the NHL. And as you know, being a hockey fan, Scott Stevens was a heck of a tough character, but a real good player. And I think at the time the Caps wanted him to be more of a player and less of a physical presence. And so they drafted a few, I'd say, tougher guys. And that's I was rated in the 9th round and was actually sitting in the Montreal Forum because Terry Karkner was my roommate in Peterborough. He was rated in the 1st round and went to the Rangers. So we were invited by his parents to go to Montreal for the draft. And I was there more because of Terry, and I was off getting a hot dog, and my dad came running to find me. He said, "Your name was just called." I said, "Dad, I'm not going for another 2 hours." And he said, "No, your name was just called. Washington just picked you." So I had to hand him the hot dog, wipe the mustard off my face, and run down the stairs in the Montreal Forum and put on a Caps jersey. So it was an incredible day. But I did go to training camp that year with the Caps a couple times. And then my overage year, I was sent to Binghamton. They had split the team, unfortunately, with Hartford at the time. And they were only allowed to ice so many forwards. And they had a veteran team there. So I was on a 3-way contract. Obviously, you get paid money for an NHL salary, American League salary, and the old International League salary. And I would have probably made more money working in a car wash back in Peterborough than we're playing in the eye and fighting in that league. Even though I did it, I didn't really love it. But so I made the decision that it wasn't going to work. So I instead of going to Fort Wayne, I loaded up the car and came back to Peterborough. And I figured out, boy, that's it for me. I'll go back to Peterborough because I was a good student, and I'll get a degree and kind of figure something else out. But Dick Todd had called. He had heard that I had left and called and asked Washington if if I could come back as overage. And Washington obviously wasn't very happy with me, but they actually released me. I played overage with the Petes and had a real good second half. And then Detroit signed me as a free agent right after that. Neil Smith was the general manager of the American League team in Glen Falls, New York, for Detroit. And then I signed again with them. Had a real good year in Glen Falls, playing for Bill Dineen, who was a wonderful coach and a great man, and had a couple games with the Red Wings that year, 3 games actually, and got a chance to become a regular once Roger, as I said, he got the head coaching job with the Rangers. Neil Smith was his general manager, so I had 2 things working for me there, and got traded to the Rangers out of training camp then my second year in Detroit, and became a full-time player after that, Joe, which was great. The funny thing was my dad said, "You're going to get traded," because Roger got the job in New York. And I said, "Well, that would be great." And about 3 hours later, I got the call that I was traded to the Rangers, and went there feeling this was going to be the best thing for me. And then Roger sat me out 8 straight games to start the year. And I went to him and said, "Roger, I don't get it. You traded for me. I've worked your damn hockey school for you for 6 years, chasing kids around from morning to night. At least you get me the game." He said, "Well, listen," he said, "I know what you can do. I don't know what these other guys can do, so I got to figure it out." And I said, "That's fine, Roger, but I got to play soon here." And then, then it was great. We had a real nice run with the Rangers, had some good teams, and fell short our closest year. And but anyways, it was really great to play in New York, and the years after that and the places that I went, it was a great career, a lot of fun.
Yeah, you obviously had a great relationship with Captain Video. If 3 hours after he gets the job, the first order of business is getting you traded to the Rangers. We actually have some dressing room video from after a game that you were in with the Rangers. So let's roll that.
Check out the scar.
Oh, geez, I'm gonna get a close for that. I don't know.
War wounds of old.
Look at that. Geez, you can fit a marble in there.
Some people think it's hockey related, but the real story actually occurred in Australia. Great White. Down there doing a hockey camp about 4 years ago. Srule. It's coming along, but they say after a shark attack, it's about 6-7 years until it's back to normal.
I thought that happened in the bull run when you were over in Spain.
Well, I don't like to tell the truth about that because I wasn't really supposed to be over there. I was during the season.
Okay, the truth behind the scar. All right.
Where the heck did that come from?
Well, Paul Patsko, man, he's got the greatest hockey video library in the history of the world. He's our guy.
That's unbelievable. I remember that. I guess you could see that, my wisecracks and smartasses goes way back, right? But
so the scar, what's the real reason behind the scar?
So we were playing Belleville. We were battling 1 and 2, my third year junior. And I came across the blue line with my head down, which I should never do. Dick said, "Give it to guys that can carry the puck and you just go to the net." And Brian Marchment hit me so hard, I kept going and my shoulder didn't. So I separated my shoulder, and we had about a month left to go. So instead of having surgery, which would have had me out for the remainder of the year and all the playoff, they tried to put this sling on it, and hopefully that it would heal enough that I could play in the playoff. And I missed about a month, and then I played the playoffs. And at the end of the season, after playing hurt most of that time, I was with Washington at the time. They wanted to have it looked at, so they flew me down to Washington and put a pin in it. And it didn't go very well. I came home, I was supposed to rest, and I didn't. I was swimming, I was fishing, I was in a hot tub, it got infected. So, long story short, I still have that scar. And had I done what the doctor said, I wouldn't have it. But it was, as you could see in the clip there, it was a source of good stories, from great white sharks to bull runs and the rest of it. But it did grow strong after the fact, but it is a scar. My granddaughter thinks I got bit by a shark, and I'm not going to tell her anything.
Yeah, why would you? That's great. Okay, we have another clip from the Rangers days. This is where you're doing a Mark Hardy impersonation. Let's.
Returning to rookie form here for the Rangers tonight against the Capitals.
All right, what was the story there?
Harper was my roommate. He was a fantastic guy and just a really good teammate. And he wouldn't say too much, but we like to pick on him a little bit. But he was tough as nails, and I think we probably should have thought otherwise. But we were getting ready for Halloween, and Paul Broughton and I had got to the game early and went across the street and grabbed some stuff for our costumes. And I just figured, you know what the heck? I got my wig here. I'll do a little Harpo impersonation, and nothing you could ever do at MSG ever went undocumented, as I can tell right now. I thought that was secret, but yeah, that was it. You know what? Those are the good old days. That's pregame. You know, maybe I shouldn't have been doing that, thinking more about who we were playing, but we had a good time. Everybody. One good thing about Rogers teams, we all got along. We had a great time, and I guess I was just one of those clowns that maybe did more than I should have.
Well, you need those guys on the team to keep things light, for sure. Absolutely. And there's a lot of value in that. We also have some game action from your stint with the Rangers. This is against the Red Wings. There we go. Well, here we go. No, here we go. Turnover, and there you go. Breakaway. Bolting around Bob McGill.
You know what, Joe? I was telling my oldest son about this goal because I said, what's the nicest goal you ever scored? I said, well, I actually beat a guy in Chicago form. Who is that? That's not Bob McGill.
Look at the speed here. I think it is.
Is that Bob McGill?
Yeah. That is Bob McGill, yes.
That's Bob McGill. 25 for the Hawks. Big Daddy.
I got to get that to show Bob. But
another Aurora Sports Hall of Famer.
What I was doing there. And that's Eddie Belfour, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I should have went to the All-Star game that year after that.
Look at this. The speed, the hands. I can tell this is a guy who scored 90 goals at one time, right?
Yeah, that might have been my first goal in about 40 games if we go back and look at it. Look at all the players can't believe it was me. They thought it was somebody else. Yeah, you can just keep running that for the next half hour. That's pretty good. I feel pretty good about myself right now. Yeah,
we definitely have to show this interview to your son. So see?
Yeah.
So
that's funny what you can find, eh? Well, of course, Big Daddy has to flash me. It looks like us playing old man's hockey in Mike Gardner's rink in Aurora on Monday mornings.
Right.
Boy, well,
I think you and Big Daddy had a couple of altercations, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, well, we did. Yeah, all in good fun, though. Great friends.
So the Jets were looking to shake things up. Tell us about the transition and transaction to Winnipeg.
It was an interesting day, to say the least. It was after Christmas, and we were playing an afternoon game against the Bruins at MSG. And I had a bit of an injury, I had a quad injury, so I was kind of playing through it, hurt. So I was kind of a game time decision. You understand, we used to skate at our practice rink in Rye, New York, and then get in the car and drive down to the games. So by the time you get there on a normal night game, they would tell you, well, in the morning, they would tell you that, we're not sure if you're going to play or not, because they didn't want you to have to come down early and sit in a hotel and not play. But because this was an afternoon game, we had all gone down. And when I got there, Colin Campbell, who's assistant coach, says, we know you're hurt. You're not going to play today. But at the same time, Ty Domi was sitting out as well. And there's no way you're going to sit your two tough guys out against the Boston Bruins, especially on Sunday afternoon during the holidays in MSG. So we're sitting in the press box, and I'm starting to think this doesn't make a lot of sense. And the team had kind of slipped a little bit. We had a good start, but we were kind of spinning our wheels there around the holidays. So I went over to Barry Watkins, who was our public relations guy, and I said, Barry, what the heck's going on here? I understand why I'm not playing, but I can't believe we're not playing Ty either. He kind of pretty much didn't say anything and turned away, and I thought, this doesn't feel very good. So the next day, we lost that game. The next day, we were at Rye, and generally our mornings we started out watching video, and Roger would get the video out and he'd kind of do his teaching and stuff. Well, that morning, we're sitting there, and Colin does the video. First time in 3 years that Roger didn't do it. So again, you'd think it's strange, but you're kind of wondering what the reason might be. The meeting's over, and then Roger says, "Kinger, I need to see you for a second." And he had his office just off where we were meeting at the practice rink, and he pulled me down. He sat me down. He said, "Listen, this is one of the hardest things I've had to do in my coaching career, but Neil has traded you." And I'm like, "Really?" And I could tell that he was kind of distraught. And he said, "Well, I've got good news and bad news." And I said, "Oh, boy." I said, "Give me the bad news." No, he actually said, "I've got bad news and really bad news."
Okay.
I said, "Okay, well, give me the bad news." He goes, "You got traded to Winnipeg." And I'm like, "Oh, boy." And I said, "What could be worse than that?" He goes, "Ty's going with you." So Ty and I got traded to the Jets for Eddie Olchuk right after Christmas. And anyways, we went there that night, and the guys were going golfing in Rye, New York after practice that day. We got on a plane, got to Minnesota, had a 3-hour layover, got into Winnipeg about 1:30 in the morning. John Paddock picked us up at the airport. He had on a Parker where I can't remember the guy. Oh, you couldn't see his face. Oh, he was so cold out.
Kenny,
yeah. Handed us the keys to a K car and said, "Here's the hotel right down the street. We'll see you at practice tomorrow." Got up in the morning, my car wouldn't start. It was freezing cold there, so got in a cab, got to the rink, and met the trainers, and that was the start of probably the 4 best years of my career. I loved every minute of it. Ty hated every minute of it, but we played the next day, and I think we went 11-1 in our next 12, and went from 6th to 3rd, and then we had a real good year. But they needed some toughness in their lineup because they had Keith Tkachuk, Timo Solani, and Alex Zamnoff all playing together as rookies on that team. They had all had a great start the first time through the league. Nobody knew them, and they were lighting things up. And Timo was scoring 2 and 3 goals a game, and that's the year he had the goal record there that him and McGillney tied. So they needed a little more grit, and I think Mike Smith thought, the GM thought that Ty and I could do that, and we settled in. And again, it was. I'm from a small town, as we've talked about, and Winnipeg was small town NHL at the time. I loved it. I loved every second of it. I mean, I didn't like the fact my kids couldn't go outside for 3 months, but other than that, we made the best of it. We've got dear friends there still. We have great connections in Winnipeg after our 4 years, and it was the perfect move for me and my family. And my youngest son was born there, and like I said, it was special at the time, and it's still special at the time, as we have, like I said, some dear friends we keep in touch with. But on the ice, it was probably the best move for me. I got shoved into a leadership role right away, and was named captain there the last year of the original Jets before we moved to Arizona. And it was kind of the pinnacle of my career. And it was something that when people, even though you played for Toronto, I think people remember me as a Jet more so than maybe even here with the Leafs. So it was fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, coming from Northern Ontario, you understood cold. You get that, but it was a far cry from New York for sure. But being named captain of the Jets, that must have been quite an honor. What was that like for you?
Well, to tell you the truth, it was interesting how it all came about. Keith Tkachuk had 2 really good years, and if you remember, I think Chicago, yes, it was Chicago, had given him an offer sheet. And they were new in the league where, a player that was eligible for free agency could receive offer sheets. And they wanted this guy, and they wanted him bad because obviously we all saw what kind of career Keith had and what he did after the fact. But Winnipeg had to either let him go and get draft picks or match it. And they didn't want to break up the team because Keith was a big part of it, and he had been captain the year before. He unfortunately had said some things in the paper that, Winnipeg can't win without me. They're going to sign me, they're going to pay me, and didn't go over very well in a city like Winnipeg, where they love their team, they love their sports, they love their Blue Bombers, they love their Jets, but they love their players to be hardworking and do and say the right things. And unfortunately, Keith got caught up in a situation that he might not have been ready for, and because of the big money that he was given and the contract and the things that had happened. John Paddock was a GM at the time, thought that it was just better for Keith to come in and play. And we knew that the team was rumored to be moving, and there was going to be a lot of those questions all year long about, they labeled us the lame duck Jets. Where are we going? We have no home. He thought maybe a veteran like myself could handle that a little bit better. So I'm not going to say I got it because it wasn't deserved, but it just made sense at the time that I could let Keith play and I could handle all the other stuff. But as it turned out, it was a great year for us. We had a real good run. We weren't great on the ice, but we gave Detroit everything we could in the playoffs, and we left there, unfortunately, for Arizona. But it was a heck of a good year for everybody, and to tell you the truth, Joe, it was really tough. Like, the players, sure, we're going to the sunshine of Arizona, but we loved our time there. We loved our fans. We loved playing there. And it was a really tough time, but I did a lot of the standing up and talking about how the team was going to stay focused and it just became part of the job as being captain. So
that was a challenging time for a captain of a hockey team. We actually have a clip here from the Save the Jets campaign. Vic, roll that.
You got to understand from a player's viewpoint, we've been going through an emotional roller coaster for 2 months now, and these people have been going through for 2 weeks. For them to throw something together like this and respond the way they have in such short time just shows how much this community cares about its. The people care about its community and the Winnipeg Jets and how much they feel it's a part of their community. Okay, and finally, Kris, after seeing what you've seen the last few days here in Winnipeg, what do you think our chances are of keeping you guys here? Well, I mean, it's tough. We've been guessing on and off, like I say, for 2 months now, and I just hope the decision would be made tomorrow, so it'll be all behind us, and we'd all be able to think about October 1st or 6th, whenever the first game of the season would be in the Winnipeg Arena. All right, thank you very much, Kris.
Pleasure.
Yeah, I know they tried, right, but there really wasn't any hope in that team staying there, was there?
Well, they were able to keep it there one more year, but I think the deal was done, and we knew at that time we were going, because during the All-Star break, we all went down to Arizona and we looked at schools, we looked at homes, and so we knew that last year it was happening. But I'll tell you, the fans, they weren't having it, and they did everything they possibly could. And unfortunately, as a player, you knew the inevitable, but you felt so bad for your neighbors that lived down the street, that had the kids that loved the Jets, and the people they had met through their different charities and different things. We knew that we were on our way, but we tried to do the best we could to make those fans remember that year, and I think we delivered that. Unfortunately, it was inevitable, as you said, that we were moving, but it was quite nice for all of us alumni that when the Jets came back and have done so well over the last few years, it's been a real, it's been a tribute to Mark Chipman and what his group have done there, but the fans have really, they've really enjoyed it. And that's NHL hockey belongs in Winnipeg. There's no doubt about that.
No question. And that's, you must have been ecstatic when the deal was done and you knew they were coming back to Winnipeg.
Well, I had to be quiet about it because I was representing 32 teams.
Right.
But I can't deny that I do like when they do well, because the memories are, even though it's been this many years, it's still fresh. And as I said, and people kind of look at me sideways when they say, after 15 years, what was your favorite time? Where was your favorite place to play? When I say Winnipeg, they kind of double take on me. But once I explain the things that I did and the people that I met and the things that I was able to do in that community, simple as Monday nights, when I was captain and Paula was the captain's wife, we'd make sure that the team got together every night. We'd go out for dinner and, we'd go tobogganing. We'd get babysitters, we'd go tobogganing, we'd all go to the movie together, we'd go bowling. We just did things together, and it kept our group really tight. And we were able to do that in a city like Winnipeg, where it's a hell of a lot harder to do in a big city like Toronto, where guys are living in Mississauga, and Glenn Healy's living in Whitby, and we're living in Aurora, and everybody's all over the place. But in Winnipeg, we were able to be a tight-knit group. We did a lot of things together. Sunday afternoons was always our home date, and we'd end up at Dave Manson's house. Kids downstairs, adults upstairs, and you better have a good excuse not to be there. And if you had family in, they were invited too. So we did a really good job of staying tight and close, and I think it reflected in how we played on the ice, because on paper we weren't the strongest team, but we were, as a group, we were pretty damn strong. We did everything for each other, and it was kind of made that parting ways with Winnipeg a little bit easier for us. So.
Well, you finally got an opportunity to join the your favorite team, the Maple Leafs. Yeah. And what was it like to come to Toronto?
I was at Kay Whitmore's wedding. He was our goaltender in Peterborough, and there was a whole group of us from our junior days there, and Dallas Eakins and Jody Hall, Rob Murray. Yeah, there was way too many of us, and some other guys that we had known through the NHL, and Trevor Linden. And needless to say, we were kind of misbehaving. We were having a really good time. Paula will attest to this. She wasn't very happy with me. And, we were sitting in the airport. Jody Hall and I were kind of sitting away from our wives because he kind of misbehaved too, and they were a little bit upset with us. But that's what hockey players do when they're back with their old junior buddies. So and I'm not saying we were bad. We just maybe were up a little bit later than we should have been 4 nights in a row. But anyways, I got on the phone and called my agent because I was getting ready to board back to Toronto, and he had called me the day before and said that he had 3 teams interested in signing me. I was a unrestricted free agent, and I'd come off the year in Arizona, and it was funny because I knew that I was probably going to move. I wanted to stay, but there's a real good feeling that I was going to move. So every time a team came in that I thought I might like to play for, I kind of played. I'm not going to say I didn't play like I normally did, but especially when the Leafs came in over here in Toronto, I played a little bit harder. I probably fought 2 times every game. So he had said, Dallas has called, Minnesota has called, and Detroit has called. And I said, well, I don't mind any of those. He says, well, you know what? You got an hour. Give me another call. I'm expecting one more call. So just before we were boarding, I called again, and he said, listen, I think this is a deal we got to take. And he said, Joe and I'd always had a 1 or a 2 year deal. We'd never owned a home because we didn't have the contract situation where I felt comfortable enough to put down roots because I'd moved a few times already. So he said, it's a 4-year deal, and this is amount of money. And I'm like, this is for me? And he said, yeah. And I go, well, where is it? And he goes, Toronto. And I said, hang on a sec. I got to ask my wife. And he said, you don't have to ask her anything. And so I said, Paula, come over here. And she wouldn't come over. She's mad at me. I said, come over here because I'm on the phone in the airport. And she comes over, and I said, what would you say about signing with the Leafs? And then she wasn't mad at me anymore. So we agreed on the phone. Jay phoned Bill Waters, and we signed a 4-year deal with Toronto. And I got off the phone with Jay and called my dad. He started crying. He was so excited. So you know what? It was really exciting being able to come. I was 2 hours from Toronto, but it was home. As I told you earlier, they were my team growing up. I had met Daryl. Daryl had brought, when we were living in Hornpayne, my dad and I down to Toronto a few times. Went to the old LeBaron Steakhouse across the street and got to watch the game and go into the dressing room and meet all the guys. It was kind of full circle coming around. So it was very exciting, and I loved my time in Toronto. It was just being a Leaf is something very special. And at the time, it was funny, and I'll tell you a quick story. So Derek King and Glenn Healy signed the same day. So myself, Derek King from the Islanders, I think he was with at the time, and Glenn Healy signed as a backup for Cujo. So the first year, I think I forget who we were playing, but Derek had scored 2 goals. He obviously was the king that was there to score goals, and I was the king that was there to maybe stop them and kind of do what I do. And he lived downtown. I lived in Aurora. So he went out to dinner with his wife one night, and a fan had heard from somebody in the restaurant that's King sitting over there. So he went over and introduced himself, and he said, oh, I love those 2 fights last night. I want to buy you dinner. So Derek, knowing that he was getting a free meal, let on that he was me. So then and then the fact that we both had pretty big ears, I guess the guy could make the mistake, but once you got on the ice, we were two different kings. But it was kind of cool because, I never got mistaken as a guy that scored goals, but we had a really good time there. And as I said, we had good teams. The first year wasn't the best. Mike Murphy was our coach. We were kind of growing. We had the same team the second year, but we got Curtis Joseph, and he took us to new heights. And Pat Quinn was the coach. We had a real good run. A couple first place and second place finishes. Probably should have beat Buffalo that one year when they lost to Dallas in the final. So we were close there. But it's something special to be able to put on the Maple Leaf jersey. And once you play one game, you're a Leaf, and I was lucky enough to do it for 3 and a bit. So it was a dream come true and everything I thought it would be.
Well, you certainly made your presence felt in Toronto. We have some video from a game against the Blackhawks, and you're getting into a scuffle here with Jim Cummins. Great scrap.
Yeah.
You landed some shots, a little bit, slipped a couple of punches, and then here comes the big right hand, and down he goes, coming up here. There it is. Boom.
You know what, Joe, I found out really early when I fought Kurt Fraser when I was with Detroit that you don't lead with your chin. So
right.
I kind of worked on it after a while. And my dad was a big man, and he played for Canada when he was stationed in the Air Force. And he was a big, strong guy, but he never thought that I would fight. And I don't know where it came from and how it came about, but maybe it was the fact that I fought 130 sometimes in the NHL. I just got better at it. It was funny. We had it's not funny, but we were having a meeting at the start of my executive career at a GM's meeting, and we were talking about fighting and fighting in the game. It had become a big topic after the young fella was in a fight and fell on his head in the senior league in Canada many years ago. So the public relations department had put together a list of all the people that were in that room, the GMs, the executives, of how many fights they had been in their career. And, there was 30 general managers and different people that worked for the league, including Coley and Murph. And I had, I think, 17 more fights than everybody else total
combined.
So,
you're the guy,
which was quite surprising, actually, and that's not including exhibition and playoffs and all the rest of it. But and the fact of the matter was, I didn't really care too much for it, to tell you the truth. My wife hated it every time. My mom just cringed every time.
Close her eyes.
But you know what? It was a way that got me in the game, kept me there, and somewhere along the line, I got okay at it. But I didn't like losing. I'm going to just say I tied a lot of them. It was safer that way, Joe. Yeah. But here I'm sitting with a back brace on talking to you because I actually picked on guys way too much, bigger than I was. There wasn't a lot of guys that I scrapped with that was my size. So I'm paying for it here in my early 60s, and no tennis, no pickleball, no golf this summer. I'm shut down for 4 months, but I'm still able to fish my tourneys because I still need that mental break every once in a while. It's tough to explain to Paula, but she's okay with it every once in a while. So.
That was the price, I guess. But what, 5'10" and a half, 5'10" and a half?
Yeah.
180. That was the
well, that's where I started. But to tell you the truth, when I was I was 5'10" and a half, 220 playing with the Rangers. So I worked hard in the summertime. As a third and fourth liner, you have to do little things to stay relevant and be important. And your leadership skills is one thing, but you have to back it up. So I worked really hard in the summertime and actually won, the top fit guy in most of our training camps because they do the testing and stuff. And that was something that I just did because I knew that I needed to let the coaches know that I was serious about that. And so I beefed up, and it was obviously a very important part of the way I played. I had to be big and physical. And I mean, sure, you're showing fights, but I hit a lot. And that was a big part of Roger Nielsen's team, was puck possession and turning pucks over. And that came with the game, and something that just became part of routine for me. And, it's something I continue to try to do now, stay in the best shape that I possibly can,
Well, you mentioned it, the guys who work the hardest tend to have the most success. And that's the kind of the way it goes in pretty much every sport. But
Sure.
In addition to being, one of the NHL's elite fighters, you did, as you mentioned, you played the game, you hit hard, you had a lot of, attributes in the game that a lot of other guys would love to have. And you started the Kris King Hockey School a number of years ago, very successful. Tell us about some of the guys who have gone through guys or gals, I suppose, have gone through the Kris King Hockey School to great successes.
Well, we originally started when I was playing in Peterborough. And again, selfishly, I went to my dad and then to the sports director in Gravenhurst that I wanted to do a clinic for the local kids. And I really did, but I also, in my back of my head, I wanted ice in Muskoka so I didn't have to drive to Barrie or Toronto or work for Roger anymore and be a counselor and be away from Muskoka. I wanted to be here. So we started with about 50 kids with a week-long just a small skills thing for about 3 hours a day, but we needed ice to do it. So they put ice in for the first time in Gravenhurst, I think forever. And then the success was great after the first year. So I went to Roger Nielsen, who had obviously been running his Roger Nielsen's hockey school, and said, Roger, I think I could run a hockey school up there. There's a lot of untapped resources. There's lots of cottagers, lots of kids up there that their parents are driving them back to Toronto twice a week to skate. I think we can get them to my school. So he helped me plan a program, and talking right down to the drills. But Roger was so specific in the way he did things, and we broke it into 3 groups, and these guys are on the ice for this amount of time, then off the ice. And so 9 to 4 every day, 3 groups, grew to 180 kids in year 2 to 260 kids in year 3 through year 30. And one year I got really crazy and ran it for 3 weeks and went to training camp absolutely dead tired because it's tough. And I ran a hockey school. My name was on it, so I was on the ice all the time. And I brought my buddies from Peterborough there. I mentioned some of them earlier: Rob Murray, Jody Hall, Terry Karkner, Kay Whitmore. But then, we were getting kids from the area. Wendell Clark's son Cody was there with a bunch of the kids from up in Lake Joe area. Mike Johnson, who's on TV, came as a student, and then Johnny and I actually became roommates in Toronto, which was interesting. Mike Fountain was a local kid that came for me, and generally what happened when the kids got too old, around 17, I'd have to hire the good ones. And so Mike became an instructor for me, and then went on and played in Carolina and played in Europe. And so we had a bunch of kids, and there's obviously plenty more that came through the school and went on to great things. It's funny, Paul and I walk the dog in Toronto a lot, and I'll come across a young guy on the street, and he'll say, Mr. King, and he said, listen, I went to your hockey school when I was younger, and the first thing I say is, I'm not giving your money back. But there's a lot of them. And our event last night, we had a hockey event in Bracebridge last night for the hospital. We had a charity, a bunch of NHL guys and some alumni, and there were so many kids. I'm going to say there was a dozen dads there with their kids that had gone to my hockey school, and they're still cottaging up there, and they'd come to see what was going on because I was on the board and part of it with Wendell Clark, and I were coaching the teams. And it's just neat to see over all those years, 30 years, 200 plus kids. There's a lot of kids that went through that school, and I told my dad I'd do it for 10 years. He stretched it to 30, and now it's still running. Mike Fountain actually came full circle, is running it now. He took it over from me. But I'll tell you, when I drive by that rink with my fishing boat on the back and I'm going fishing and not on the ice, I feel a lot better today than I did all those years ago.
Well, Hockey Night Muskoka, you talked about that. But, you won the King Clancy Trophy in 1996 for your contributions to the game on and off the ice. Why was it so important for you to give back to the community? Well,
I really feel, my parents were always, even in the small town, my dad was a manager. He was driving kids everywhere. Like in Hornpayne, you didn't have a team that was 10 minutes down the road. You had a team that was 4 hours down the road. You're driving to Hearst or Duberville or Port Carl or some of these other railroad bush towns that have, very few people, but they have a hockey rink. So Dad was always helping. My mom was always on the Legion Auxiliary, and they were, always at the rink when we'd have tournaments, feeding the kids and stuff. So from a young age, I knew what it was all about to give back. And I think that became a big part of not only mine, but my siblings' upbringings. And then as I got older and actually, again, playing in Peterborough, I saw it firsthand how the Petes were revered in the town, and it's because of what we did and gave back to that community. And then, unfortunately, my older brother got cancer when I was first starting in the NHL, and it was a pretty scary time for our family. And we did a lot. We learned a lot about cancer then, and Paul and I became the chairpersons of the Ronald McDonald House in Toronto as a thank you for everything that people had done in the past to help my brother get well. And my sister became a bone marrow transplant for him, and he got better, and he's still around and doing fine.
Wow,
but anyways, we continued it on in the teams that we went to. Winnipeg, we did the same thing there with Ronald McDonald House, and Winnipeg was such a great city for the charity. Every player had something that they backed, and I was the Jerry Lewis of the muscular dystrophy telethon there, which was a huge deal in Manitoba, and did the Ronald McDonald House stuff. So it just was natural for me and Paul, and we did it together. And that was the year in Winnipeg that I was nominated and won the King Clancy, and it was, it's an award that you get on the TV, and some people think that it's not the Lady Byng or the one of the big awards for scoring or best defenseman, but to me, and the guys that have won it, Adam Graves, Jerome McGinley, some great guys, Brendan Shanahan. To do that when you're playing, to give back to your community and do the little things other than just play the game is really important, and it's really important for the team. And it's the guys that won it are very humble. A lot of us don't want any recognition for it, but when you're honored for it, it's quite a privilege, and was something that I was very proud of, and I am very proud of. And it's funny when somebody will say I'm at the Hall of Fame and they'll send my little name plaque there, and so it means something to this day. So it's something that I was able to share with, like I said, with Paula, but also my kids. When we came to Toronto, we would host the Christmas dinners at the Ronald McDonald House, and the kids were there. Like, they grew up around kids that were dealing with issues and families that were dealing with issues, and I think it made them stronger. So it was something we did as a family, and something to be recognized for. Was not needed, but it was quite nice, actually.
At the end of the day, it's what we do for others. It is kind of has lasting effect, doesn't it? Right. So
amen to that. So absolutely. So the Situation Room, how did you end up there? Didn't score enough. So I told you I was looking for a job, and actually Coley had called me when I retired. He had coached me in New York, of course, and again Murph was there. And believe it or not, when I bought my house in Aurora, Murph was my neighbor. People thought that was a great thing, but as it turned out, it was awesome. His kids babysat me. Now you're showing the old Situation. You should see the new digs. It's outstanding. Yeah, we spent a ton of dough, and we really. Geez, if you're ever down at a game, Joe, I'd love to show you the new room. It's incredible. But we Coley from Roger brought video review to the league as a central location, and we watch every game. We monitor every game, from good calls, bad calls, missed calls, penalties. I think what we're known for now is video review, coach's challenge. 9 out of 10 times when the referee's putting that headset on and looking at the iPad at ice level, they're talking to me back in the situation room. So I manage the room for Coley and the league. It's something that is become very important. We are constantly trying to better the game, where all the data that we collect on a nightly basis is documented and used when we're doing GM and coaches presentations. This morning I sent out an email to our guys to look for a few things because we have our GM coaches meeting coming up in a couple of weeks in Detroit. And we want to kind of show them some trends that we've been seeing and get their feelings on it. So Coley's a really good administrator when it comes to the game, and he thinks the game, I'm not going to say the old way, but from a guy that obviously played and coached and now has been in the game as long as he has and being a Hall of Famer, he knows how he wants the game under him to be managed and run. And we have a real good group of guys in there. It's our own little team. And I started out watching games and breaking down games. And after 25 years now, I'm kind of in charge of that group. And it means it's a lot of nights during the season, 6 out of 7 nights, most weeks for 9 months. That lucky week where I might have 2 days off. It's like a holiday, but I pick Paul up at 12:31 in the morning with the dog at our apartment in Toronto. We drive north, and I spend a day and a half moving snow around, and then I go back and do it all over again. So he expects a lot out of us during the season, but from when the draft's over till the end of training camp, he doesn't need to see us unless we're having meetings, and he gives us our freedom to and recharge mostly and be away from the game. But Zoom has been an interesting thing, obviously, since COVID and lockout. It's been good, but it's also the devil. But so you can always get us, but we don't have to do that drive. I get grumpy when I go south of Aurelia. No lie, between July, August, and September. So I try to sit my butt right here in Muskoka and take care of the property and do some fishing and just recharge. But it's like any sports now. The fans demand perfection. It's still officiated. It's still a game that's takes judgment. We've got the best officials in the world, even though some coaches some nights think we have the worst. But that's just passion. And where we really come in is we're not officiating from Toronto. We're just taking care of the egregious plays that you can't defend the next day around water cooler talk in the offices. And everybody has opinions, but having a consistent group that makes the same calls from training camp till the end of the Stanley Cup final every year is what the general managers and the owners wanted. And that's the existence of the situation room, and we pretty much ran that same mantra right from the start. And as I said, we just built a brand new room. It's spectacular. We've had the other leagues come in over the years to look at what we do because we were the first real major sport to use video review. They've gone and done their own things, and it was time for us to step up our game. And the invitation's open, my friend. I'd love you to come and see what we do one night. We have teams come in, their video coaches come in, general managers and coaches when they're playing the Leafs on a Saturday. They'll come spend Friday night with us for a couple hours after dinner. And they get an idea that, we really do cover things. We really do care. We are really thorough in what we do, because when you're standing on the bench and the decision doesn't go your way, you're one of those goofs in Toronto doing, but now they see how it works. They get a different idea. And we actually really, we try to bring all of our officials in too, because, a lot of them just are on the headset with us, but when they actually sit in there and see how it operates, they get a better understanding of why we're showing them this angle or why we're taking time to look at this. And it just becomes a little bit easier. So there's a lot of knowledge that's kind of cataloged out of that room, and it's very important knowledge. So it's just the way the game is now. You've got to cover all your bases and do the best you can to keep the games fair and not just fair, but safe. We manage all the games from safety aspects from there. We do have a player safety department that runs out of New York that has a similar setup that's run by George Peros and his group. But, we're talking about fans in the game, officials in the game, players in the game. Are there 2 ambulances there all the time? If there's not, we can't drop the puck. Or the boards and glass safe? Or is the ice in good condition? All that stuff falls under our tutelage and our job descriptions. And it's more than just the goals and assists. It's the whole game itself. And that's all run out of our room there in Toronto.
Producer Vic has a question for you. Vic, what is it?
So you make a call and it's a no goal against the Leafs or whatever it is. Ever get a phone call the next morning from the GM or something saying, what kind of call was that? You made a mistake or nothing's done?
No, we don't get it the next day. We usually get it that night.
Okay.
Actually, Coley's put in a rule. No calling during the game, no texting during the game. And there's certain guys that don't adhere to his rules.
Ignore that.
But but you know what? Listen, Vic, guys are passionate. You get it. And maybe you're a Leaf fan as you brought up the Leafs. There's 31 other choices you could have used, but you brought up the Leafs. So, you know what? We do get calls. We do get on the phone with the general manager. We'll get on the phone with the coach. We'll educate their video coaches, try to give them the reason why we didn't, and give them, other plays that were similar. So, and listen, a lot of the pushback is, well, this happened to us last week in New Jersey and it was exactly the same. Well, they're never exactly the same. And you got to remember, we're making our decision off that original call on the ice by the referee. And it's called video review, the video review coach's challenge. So if the video doesn't give you conclusive evidence to overturn that original call, you have to stay with the call. That is our job as given to us by the keepers of the game, and that be the general managers, the competition committee, and the owners. So even though we think maybe this goal shouldn't count, if we don't have enough evidence to overturn that referee's original call the way he saw it, we're to stay with that call. Now, that being said, if we've had 3 calls like this in the first month and we've ruled one way and a referee comes on and says, no goal, goalie interference, and then we say, hey, take a look at this. His own guy kind of gets a stick in the guy's skates and trips him and he falls into the goal. He goes, oh, geez, I didn't see that live. I think the better call here is goalie interference. Okay, let's change our call. Then that's our job, is to give them all the concrete evidence that we see using the consistency that we do on a nightly basis to get to the right call. So a referee, they're not afraid to change their mind if they have the video evidence to do that. And it's our job to get it to them. So, and it's not, listen, it's communication, it's the headsets, it's the proper camera angles. We have overhead cameras in the rafters. We have cameras in the nets, the crossbars. We're using 23 cameras every game, whether it be goal interference, offside, high sticks, kicks, all that, to get to the right answer. So we've spent a lot of money, time, and thought into trying to get to the right answer and as quick as possible. But you know what? Sometimes every angle you have where you think you have it covered, there's times where you just can't change that call, and then you got to stay with it. So we'll try to take care of your Leafs the best we can.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I'm just wondering though, is there any fights in the room? Like one guy says, nah, that guy kicked it. And you're like, no, who has the final say on
debates?
Let's just say there could be differencing of opinions. I think we're all too old now to fight anymore. Coley's the boss. Coley talks to the owners, talks to the GMs, talks to the coaches. I played with a lot of these coaches now that are in our game today, and some of the general managers. And over 25 years, I've managed playoff series. We send guys from our department out to manage a playoff series along with our retired officials, whether it be Dan O'Halloran, Rob Schick, Don Van Massenhoven, Billy McCreary. These guys all go out and they manage the teams, coaches, general managers, so that the referees can just come into a series and concentrate on the game that they're working. A lot of it's babysitting and giving these guys somebody to talk to other than the media and make the game look bad. But so you get a relationship with different guys, how they operate and how they might disagree. But we will get calls, and we will deal with them when we have to. Some of them are BS calls, and some of them are calls where guys just don't know, and we'll do our best to give them the reasons why we might have made that call. But everything goes back to that original marching orders. If there's not video evidence, we're going to stay with that original call. And sometimes they don't like that answer, but they're the ones that gave it to us. So they're passionate. They want to win. And we just have to understand that sometimes. Now, sometimes there's verbal arguments that get a little louder when guys just don't listen, but Cole's a lot better at that than I am. So he's an old tobacco farmer, gets up too early, so you got to get him at the right time if you're going to win an argument with him.
Right, he's from tobacco country. That's right, around Tillsonburg, right. I think.
Tillsonburg,
yeah. My son was
the 6:30 in the morning call this morning. When he's up, he should be up.
So, I mean, really, 23 cameras, everything else, but at the end of the day, the game happens so fast, but the officials tend to get it right most of the time, don't they? I mean, that's the bottom line.
It really is, and that's what we tell a lot of people. Like the guys are, you're joking about how big I was, but I mean, we've got guys that are 6'7", 6'8" now, 230, 240 pounds that fly like, they skate like the wind. And when you've got 10 players like that with two goalies and the puck moving as fast as it is and how well they all skate and how fast they move the puck, it's up to two referees to keep their eye on that and make decisions in real time that affect the game. And, the numbers prove it. When you look at the challenges and how many calls are upheld after challenge, it's incredible how much or how many of them they get right. And even our linesmen, when guys are crossing the line at that speed, and, is having changed the rule to not having to have your blade on the ice has made things a little bit easier, but it's also thrown a few sticks in the spokes of, possession and control and the other things that we have to constantly explain to people because it doesn't look right on camera, but it is according to the rule. But you know what? Again, it's just working together with the officials on the ice who are the best in the world, and they train as hard as the players do. If you have a long career as a referee or a linesman, it's a pretty rewarding and financially rewarding career. It's hard to be considered wrong every time you make a call by half of the people, and right by half of the people. But it's a job that's very important, and I think our guys are fabulous. I really think we got a great group of guys, and a lot of them had played the game at high levels and then brought that to officiating, and it's made the games as good as they are now. I mean, it's no mistake when Wayne Gretzky was giving his speech after Alex Ovechkin broke the record in Long Island that he acknowledged the officials, and the fans didn't appreciate it, but he was right. Like, the officials are a big part of the success of our game today, and they care and they work at it. Stephen Walkham, the head of officiating, is currently having an officials clinic now for up and coming potential referees and linesmen. And then they're bringing the IHF group over from Europe with our guys that are been named to work the Olympics, and they're going to do another clinic there. So we're always working to find the best talent out there, not only for our league, but the American League and the other leagues. And we need to replace good guys that are retiring with even better guys that are coming up. So it's a constant battle to find good officiating, but Steven seems to have the right process in place to bring good people back in the game.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So we mentioned earlier you're going into the Aurora Sports Hall of Fame. Certainly well deserved. Your daughter Danielle was on hand to represent. What's that going to be like for you? Well,
that kid of mine, she's something else. She did it all behind my back, and usually you can't put anything by the old man, but it's just it's as I said, it was a real honor to get the call. I mean, Aurora was our home there for a good portion of our kids' lives. I coached minor hockey there. Danielle played soccer for the Aurora Stingers. Paula was involved in the community. We were in rinks, we were on soccer pitches. We were doing all the things that Aurora offered our kids. And again, it was our first home that we actually purchased and became part of the community. And it was a great place to to live when I played, and also a great place to live when I retired. And, Paul and I have been up here in the Muskokas now for 13 years, but my daughter still lives in Aurora and calls that home. And we obviously are there a lot with seeing the grandkids. So to be able to go in with guys like Mike Murphy and Mike Kitchen and some of the others that you had mentioned, it's a great honor. And Javid and his group, I think their meetings are tougher than the guys going into the NHL Hockey Hall of Fame. Like, they got everything covered. These guys, nothing gets by them. So it's going to be an interesting and very rewarding night here in the fall. I'm very looking forward to it. Danielle, like I said, she don't know why she did it, but I guess she felt strong enough that maybe Dad belonged there. So even though we don't live there, that was our home for a good portion of our pro career. And to be selected is quite an honor. And like I said, to be honored with some of the greats that have been north of Toronto there is something that I'll be very proud of course. So.
Awesome. Looking forward to that. So we're partnered with a group called Believe, Become, Be You. It's a mentorship program for kids 10 to 17, inspired by the late Sean Gindy, led by Papa Jack Gindy. What's the message that you would have, Kris, for any kids who might be struggling to find their way in today's world?
Well, there's always somebody out there that understands what you're going through. I tell my kids, I tell people, not just kids, ex-teammates, family, friends, that there's always somebody you can talk to. And to keep things personally hidden is not the way to deal with things. You have to get your issues in the open, and you'll be surprised how people will say, a lot of times people say, I know how you feel, but you'll be surprised how many times people really know how you feel and what you're going through. It's tough today, especially for kids. There's lots of pressures that go with school and friendships and sports and all the other things that become a big part of our lives. And you really have to use the resources that you have and never be ashamed that maybe you're feeling different than somebody else, because that person might be feeling the exact same way you are. So take advantage of the people that care about you, and you'll find out how many people really, truly care about you and how helpful they can be. And just by being open, you can deal with issues today that are a lot easier to deal with than when you keep them to yourself. So never be ashamed to say that, you know what, I need some help.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of people have been there before, for sure. Well, Kris, thank you for taking this time to join us. This has been fantastic. I really was looking forward to this, and it's awesome. Thank you.
Joe, this has been great. I really enjoy it. Nothing like 2 coffees and a talk with Joe for an hour on a Friday morning. It's awesome.
Beautiful, beautiful. And I will take you up on that offer to come and check out the War Room. It'll be beautiful.
Absolutely. I'll be hurt if you didn't. Vic, you can come too.
Thank you, sir. Oh, Vic can come too.
Thanks.
Right,
I was beautiful. Thank you.
He said. All right, when we come back, George Larac tells us what it took to be a top NHL enforcer. Back after this. In 1992, the best locally owned restoration companies came together with one goal: to make disaster recovery better for Canadians. And to this day, DKI remains one of the only 100% Canadian-owned disaster restoration groups in the market. Fire, flood, or storm damage. When things go wrong, the right help makes all the difference. With the right tools and local expertise, we handle everything from emergency response to full-scale restoration, getting homes and businesses back on track the right way. Because a home is more than 4 walls, a business is more than a building, and recovery is about more than repairs. When you choose DKI, you're choosing a company that's put Canada first since 1992. Locally owned, nationally backed, Canadian through and through. Addiction Rehab Toronto, Toronto's #1 alcohol and drug treatment center, saving lives, reuniting families. The only treatment center in the province to offer medical detox, treatment, sober living, and lifetime aftercare all in one place. Our unique and specialized programs are designed to equip our clients with the tools to successfully lead a life of dignity, respect, and purpose. Let us help save your life or your loved one's life. Call today for more information or to facilitate an intervention. 1-855-787-2424 or visit addictionrehabtoronto.ca. Hearing loss doesn't have to mean missing out. At Hear Canada, we help you take charge with a complimentary hearing assessment because confidence starts with clarity. Discover hearing aids, accessories, and expert care at your local hearing center. Not sure where to start? Our Hearing Health Guide has the basics for you or a loved one. It worked for us. Book your free assessment today at hearcanada.com. Conditions may apply. How did you prepare yourself for the fighting on the ice? Like, what would you do to prepare yourself for that?
Okay, so there's many things that I would do. First of all, I only slept 45 minutes in the afternoon because in psychology, you hear that if you sleep more than 3 hours, your body goes into a different phase, a sleeping phase mode. So you're not optimizing your energy. 45 minutes is a power nap. That's all you should sleep before a game. Some guys, you just sleep way too much. You arrive, even though you're awake to play the game, your body's half asleep. When you fight, you can't be half asleep. So 45 minutes nap. Also, I would show up to the game 4 hours before. I needed to be there when nobody was there. I need to be alone and take a cold tub for like 20 minutes. I would meditate in a cold tub for 20 minutes for the lactic acid and meditate and visualizing the guy that was going to fight. So I would go in the cold tub, I would meditate in it for 20 minutes with nobody, no players there and stuff. And because I didn't want any noise, I didn't want anything, because once everybody come in, I have to be stoic. I can't show that I'm worried. I can't show anxiety. I can't show anything, because even though I had a really good reputation, everybody has anxiety before a fight, and it's normal because you know what's going to happen. So, me, you can't show, especially with the reputation that I had, you can't show people that I'm worried. Like, I couldn't show people that I was worried about fighting Bugard or Brashear or all these guys that I fought, like Probert. I was scared shitless of fighting Probert, Ty Domi, everyone that I fought, I was afraid, because I was afraid of getting hurt. I was afraid to lose, because each one of these guys that I fought could kill me. And this crosses your mind, actually, because not just from a punch, but if you hit your head on the ice, it could be fatal. So, and with the size that you have, like, there's so many things that you don't control in the fight, the balance, all that stuff. So I did a lot of yoga to make sure that my core was so strong, and that's why I never fall. Many guys, we say, oh, they didn't have good balance and they would fall. But my strength, my core, if you look at my fight, the balance that I had, I never fall, never lost balance, and barely got hit. And it was so important. Doesn't matter which way people had me, I would not fall, and I would always find a way at the end of the fight to wrestle the guy down. Always. That was the key, and that was my strength with the core. So this is all in training, things that I implemented myself to make sure that I was never going to get hurt, or, my head finished, getting banged on the ice and stuff. It was so important.
Discover the secret to timeless vitality at Renew Medical Center in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Our specialists unravel the science of aging, tailoring plans to defy its effects. Experience cutting-edge regenerative therapies such as stem cells and exosomes, addressing aging at its core.
It's a wonderful spot, and I highly recommend it for whatever you may need, whether you just want to feel better, you want to look better, have basically a quality of life, just to ramp it up a little bit as we age.
Liberate yourself from aging-related concerns, where accountability, technology, and passion for regenerative medicine converge. Begin your path to peak health and wellness with us. Schedule your appointment today at renewpv.com and elevate your quality of life.
Parents, what's the biggest fear for kids 10 to 14? A future they think they can't handle. At Believe, Become, Be You, we know confidence in the future is a habit we can build. Our course doesn't just prepare kids for the future, it seeds them with skills they will use now. For a limited time, the I Believe in Me Foundation is offering the first 1,000 kids and their parents 1 year free access. This priceless opportunity will save you over $2,000. This isn't just a course. It's a journey in developing life-enhancing skills that will grow with your child, fostering gritty minds, creative futures, and better bonds. Get signed up now at BelieveBecomeBeYou.com. That's BelieveBecomeBeYou.com.
And we want to thank all the folks who make this show possible. These are friends, trusted business associates, and all-around great people. We highly recommend them all. Thank you for your support of Canadian sports. A reminder that the show is available on iTunes, Spotify, Breaker, wherever you get your podcast from. Also, check out the show on YouTube. All of our past great shows are on there, clips, shorts. Like and subscribe. It's free. Our socials at Joe Swiss Tilley on Instagram and Threads. Joe Tilley's Great Canadian Sports Show on Facebook. Thanks once again, Kris King, for joining us. Thank you for watching. We'll see you next time. MNP, a leading Canadian national accounting, tax, and business accounting firm. MNP proudly serves and responds to the need of their clients in the private, public, and nonprofit sectors. Through partner-led engagements, MNP provides a collaborative, cost-effective approach to do business and personal strategies to help people and organizations to succeed across the country and around the world. With local offices in Oshawa, Mississauga, Burlington, and more, their team is here to support you. Visit mnp.ca today to learn more. Brian Gribben Insurance Planning, helping you solidify your financial future.
At BGIP, what we do that's unique in the marketplace is we show people how to spend and enjoy their money in the early years of retirement without the fear of running out. Also, we're able to do this without you having to change financial advisors. Please look us up at bgip.ca today. And let's book a 30-minute phone call to see how we can bring value to you and your family in your planning.
Call Brian today for all your retirement needs. We did. 905-686-5678. I'm Joe Tilley, and this fall I want you to join me for the adventure of a lifetime in Peru. We're talking about a 9-day guided journey through some of the most awe-inspiring sights on Earth, starting at just $19.99. We'll explore Lima, Peru's lively capital. You'll experience rich history, beautiful architecture, and world-class cuisine. You'll also wander the vibrant streets of Cusco, where Inca heritage blends seamlessly with colonial charm, and visit the stunning Sacred Valley, known for its dramatic landscapes, ancient Inca ruins, and charming traditional villages. And the big moment? We'll ride the scenic Inca train to spend the night in Machu Picchu village, waking up early to witness a magical morning light over the ancient citadel, a once-in-a-lifetime experience you'll never forget. Craving more? Extend your trip with a stay at a luxury Amazon lodge, or visit Lake Titicaca and meet the locals on the floating islands. This all-inclusive package covers international and domestic flights, expert guided tours, entrance fees, and stays at hand-picked hotels. And here's the kicker. Book now to receive a free upgrade to first-class boutique-style hotels and a direct flight from Toronto on selected dates. Don't miss it. Let's discover the magic of Peru together. Rooted in 60 years of tradition, Sleepy Hollow is a private golf club with a friendly community of members just minutes from Toronto. With mature trees and rolling fairways, Sleepy Hollow provides a challenging and enjoyable experience for passionate golfers. Enjoy great golf, amazing dining, and a picturesque patio second to none. Visit sleepyhollowcountryclub.com.